VIBErations Podcast, Part 12, Peter Duchemin. Hi, I'm Gary Brightman, and this is my weekly podcast called VIBErations. Established in 2018, Vibe is a book and music shop situated in Moi Wo on Lantau Island in Hong Kong. So what's been happening at the shop over the past week? Last Saturday, Gordon Poon gave a very engaging talk at Vibe on the history of Hong Kong and showcasing his new book. Given COVID restrictions, we didn't want to advertise the event and consequently had a small number attending at the shop. However, a large number of people have now viewed it on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Did someone mention YouTube? So, drum roll please. Thanks to my old mate Thelonious Skunk, we have now launched our all-new YouTube channel. Yes, welcome to the 21st century, Mr. Brightman. We hope you'll enjoy your stay. Our new channel is called Live at Vibe HK, and I'll be urging you every week from now on to subscribe to this channel on YouTube. If you have a Google account or YouTube account, it's the same thing these days, you simply log in, search for Live at Vibe HK, and press the subscribe button. Technology will do the rest. I hope to get the number above 3 as soon as possible. On Live at Vibe HK, you'll find a well-crafted, apocalyptic picture of Moi Wo with the Vibe V logo, designed by Mr. Skunk himself. Collector's item alert. Additionally, you'll find all our live videos recorded at the shop over the past couple of years, including Tiny Desk gigs, Paul French, Les Bird, and Moi Wo institution Sally Bunker, amongst other things. An interview with yours truly, and all of the weekly podcasts. So that's our Christmas present to you. Please unwrap carefully and enjoy. As I mentioned before, November has been a washout in terms of business at both Vibe and in Moi Wo in general. However, last Saturday was a record day of sales, attributed largely to new people moving into the area and wanting to line their new nests with cool books. A reminder that we have a box of free books, CDs and videos outside the shop every day now. Coupled with our bookcase of English and Chinese books for $10 each, and our outside box, we feel we're offering something for all budgets. And so to this week's interview. Dr. Peter Duchemin is an artist, magician, scholar and tarot reader with more than 20 years of experience. He is a Canadian and Newfoundlander by birth and has travelled widely to discover his current home in Hong Kong. So, welcome to Vibe, Peter.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay, so what I've got for you to start with is a quick warm-up. So, 10 questions, brief answers, if possible. Let's go. So, favourite book or author?
I love Ursula Le Guin.
Okay.
I love Ursula Le Guin, and I'd say one of my favourite books is The Left Hand of Darkness.
Favourite musical artist?
Like Beethoven. There's my answer. It's Beethoven.
Preferred drink?
Tea.
I knew you'd say that. So, actually,
Bole cha.
Yeah. I should get a point for everyone that I get right, shouldn't I? Favourite Hong Kong walk?
I love the walks in the hills just up of Pak Ngan Han.
Do you have a life motto?
Do that which you wish to remember yourself as having done.
Favourite Hong Kong restaurant?
I'm going to have to go for Chun's in the village with the phenomenal crab soup on Sundays.
Faced with a python whilst walking up to the peak, what would you do?
I would sing Bohemian Rhapsody.
See, I got that wrong because I thought you would pick it up and take it home. Best advice you were given?
And I'm going to have to swear here because...
Yeah, go swear.
Benny Malone, before every show when I was working in the circus, would always say, okay, guys, slow the fuck down and enjoy.
Finish this sentence. I live in Hong Kong because...
It's rich in experience. And, and I just have a huge amount of love for the energy here and the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love it here.
Okay. Favourite area of Hong Kong?
Well, Shamshipo is pretty excellent. I like the areas that have seemed to have just sort of grown organic. I like the organic side of Hong Kong. So when I like Tayo, I like that.
Good. All right, like it. Thank you very much. And there's the 10 quick-fire questions.
Wasn't so bad. Wasn't so bad.
Wasn't so bad. What were you doing prior to coming to Hong Kong?
Well, I was living in St. John's, Newfoundland, and I was focusing on my PhD out of Memorial University there. My wife and I both. Well, we had 11 ducks. That's the thing. We had a whole whack of ducks, and we had like a backyard full of. I built a brick pizza oven, right?
Right.
And so we were in this position where, if I decided, okay, let's have a party on about maybe 2 hours' notice, we could have like 60 people jamming out and playing music and rocking out in the backyard. It was this incredible thing because, of course, there was this food to be had, right? So people would be like, boom. And so we were in this amazing position where all of our friends were into homesteading, and they had goats, and they had making their own cheese and honey and stuff, and we were all trading this stuff. So I was just in this kind of cool kind of social group of artists and thinkers, and you know.
And you were telling me earlier, you know, that you come from a line of free thinkers. Do you want to just talk us through that?
Oh yeah. The only thing I didn't really mention about what we were doing before in Newfoundland is it's all circus and magic, right? We were like all of our friends were circus performers. We had a huge scene. I just almost just glazed over the fact that it was all about, you know, doing circus shows and stuff like that. So that's part of it. Yeah, my family. The name Duchemin, its French name means of the road. It's usually taken by Huguenots when they left. So in the early 18th century, so around like say 1717, they left France because they were Protestants and they were being persecuted, and so they fled to the Channel Islands and became anglicized. So that's where the name comes from. And I guess we don't really know who they were before that. But Duchemin means of the road, which is usually okay. We're gone, you know. And so we went to Guernsey, and then England, and then Newfoundland, and then Prince Edward Island. So that's sort of where it is. And there was a guy born in Guernsey named Watson, and he invented the egg carton. He's my great grandfather, and he ended up settling in Prince Edward Island, where he built church organs. The University of PEI has one of his organs. He was an organ donor. He was an inventor, various nets or devices for sewing, or the ball bearing ring, all this kind of stuff. Then my great-grandfather, someone, was the newspaper man in the East Coast, so in Cape Breton. And then my dad taught for about 30 years in the English department at Carleton University in Ottawa. So that's basically.
And then at some point in time, you made a decision to come to Hong Kong?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
We were traveling around the world. We went in 2012. We basically went by train around the world. We went from Halifax to Vancouver by train, and I did sleight of hand on the train in exchange for passage. And then we jumped over to Japan, and then we went from Beijing. We went to Korea, and then up in Beijing to London through Siberia and all this stuff. And I think at some point Evelyn made a contact who had a music school in Hong Kong.
Okay, so and you did go with the flow, and you did find yourself in Hong Kong, and Evelyn did get the position at the music college, and so and here you are. You find yourself in Moi Wo. To me, when we have conversations, there's no sort of boundaries, and it's like a neural discussion, and it goes from one place to another, and that's how your mind works, and I'm hugely impressed with that. going along with that, you have some sort of real life sort of, I don't want to call them qualifications, but skill sets, you know. What are the sort of things that you ply as your trade?
Okay, I read tarot. I teach tarot. I'm an artist, so I am constantly sort of illustrating and making drawings, and I created my own tarot deck.
Yes.
I write. I'm working on several books at once, it would seem, but I write some articles that are published online, and I keep a blog, and so I have a skill set related to communications.
Yes, very much,
and related to improvisation, and so my non-linear way of thinking in some ways is a disadvantage, but in other ways it's an advantage, because it brings in an ability to sort of be spontaneous and riff off of whatever comes my way. So the tarot, sleight of hand was something that I picked up when I was younger, so I can do magic shows, perform for kids, I ride a unicycle, I can juggle, I'm into picking up these, I guess, these physical experiences, because I don't think the mind is in the head. I mean, that's actually important. The mind isn't in the head. The mind, part of it is, but the mind to me is also in the heart and in the gut and in the fingers and toes, and actually beyond that, extended into the broader community. It's sort of projected like a field in a way, but I like to explore all of those aspects of it. So I think the skill sets like visual art, Kung Fu, again, is something that I aspire to. I just want to touch on the thing that I've learned from my upbringing and from the path that I've taken, is that contemplation is also a form of wealth. Having a rich space of contemplation, metaphors. Metaphors to me are the heart of our ability to think and to see and to experience. And so part of the literary traditions is you go into these books and into these films and into this art to discover metaphors and ways of understanding yourself and the world. And I think if you become enriched by that process, you have a kind of a wealth. I mean, I don't think the idea that, an artist is, you say, our artist is poor. Well, they don't have a lot of money, but, well, they have a great deal of wealth in that visionary experience. You find people who are very, 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 very rich, but feel they're missing that other part. So again, like in everything, it's the two halves. Finding the balance between the two halves. And I'm inspired by Jean Giono's The Man Who Planted Trees, which is about this guy who's a shepherd who's every day is out planting trees for 40 years and a forest grows, and that's a huge part of my thinking. So contemplation to me results in artworks, it results in practices, it results in friendships, it results in engagements where people pay me for things. But what it's less about, I'm going to target this effect and that effect. And to me, okay, they say time is money. Well, money is time, but time is more things than money. It's also quality. It's also art. It's also connections. It's also moments of meaning. So I think I cultivate time, and I know that time is going to bear fruit, pragmatic fruit. I've made my own deck. I've got an art show at Tom's, so it's definitely fruiting, and it's coming out of this. It's just that I haven't created it in a linear way. I've done it in a non-linear way, through contemplation, through cultivating the time that in my mind, if I keep cultivating moments like this, it'll end up fruiting on its own. Forever.
We've talked about your multiple skill sets and artistic sort of outlets and things. But you do keep coming back to tarot to a certain extent. We sell tarot cards. Quite a few of your different tarot decks in the shop. You've just come up with a new tarot deck, something you've designed yourself, something that you want to put out there. So that's kind of covering both skill sets. What is it about tarot that draws you to it?
tarot is a deceptively simple map of an incredibly rich terrain of contemplations. And again, we're talking about this forest of contemplations that has real fruits in the world. Then the tarot is like that too. It's not simply that I would, throw some cards and say this, and this are going to now happen to you. I would look at the cards and I would say, like this one here that came right off the top before before the interview. This is the Chariot. This is a picture of a person sitting in a chariot with two sphinxes, and there's this image here of a rod with a ring around it, which is actually a symbol of the creative and the pragmatic come together, right? This is a symbol of the union of male and female. But I look at this symbol and I get all these ideas, and I get all this these actionable kind of strategies out of this. And so this to me summarizes this moment where we are we're bringing a message together, we're putting it out, we're communicating it, we're gathering it together. So what I get out of this map is a way of making all this kind of abstract, kind of contemplative, spiritual stuff both coherent, holistic, and connected to itself, right? It's none of this is just out in left field. Everything implies everything else. And in the forest, the ecology of the forest is all interconnected. So that the ecology of the tarot symbologically is entirely connected. And it's the map or the instructions for this way of living, this magical way of living that is what I...
Okay, so my kind of logistics side, wanting to know the mechanics of tarot, is kicking in now, and I'm thinking, okay, Peter, so how many cards are there in a pack?
There are 78.
78.
There are three basic parts of the tarot. There are the major arcana, the minor arcana, and the court cards. The majors represent processes, the minors represent forces, and the court cards represent people or personalities. So the Chariot is one of the 22 major arcana, which are the most important. In fact, I often read only with the major arcana. And they are the pictures that probably relate to oral traditions that go back thousands of years. So the first tarots we see in Italy in the 15th century, but the stories and the images are much older than that. And so those 22 are really the keys, they're called. Yeah.
So if someone would come to you to have their cards, people love the sort of occult, the soothsayers, people that can tell them something different. And we see, for instance, in Temple Street, the tarot card readers up there and the fortune tellers, always very popular in society.
Definitely.
When people come to you, why are they coming to you, do you think?
Many different reasons, but all of them connected to a desire to find meaningfulness.
Okay.
So it might be an anxiety about, should I make this decision or not? In which case they're really looking more for me to tell them what will happen. That's more the fortune telling thing, and I try to coach people into taking more personal agency, right?
Yes.
Because I think you can get into this very passive relationship to the tarot, thinking, oh well, its purpose is to tell us what will happen. I think you can come to a tarot reader with those concerns, but I think a good tarot reader will transform that anxiety, which is basically just not being sure about what's going to happen. We'll transform that into something different than a written in stone prediction. A skilled tarot reader will, using their knowledge of the stories, will find a set of metaphors or stories or contemplations that will, if given to the client, those contemplations will then let the client suddenly realize that they have the power over the situation, right?
Yeah.
So tarot reading and thinking has structure. These are routines. These are repertoire. This is a playbook of different ways of solving problems. Yet the throws are always different, and there's always a skilled reader needs to find a way to take. Could be any throw at all. It could be any combination, and take those and make them meaningful and useful. And so it's this constant challenge.
Somebody would come to you. You've got 78 cards to choose from. You choose is it 6 cards or something?
Could be 3. Could be 6. Could be 10.
And then from that's where the basis of the reading then goes to. And
sometimes I'll bring book cards in. Sometimes I'll go into the deck and I'll pull out a card and I'll say this one is relevant, and I'll put it next to, because you know what I like about it, and it answers a previous question, is it's a non-linear book.
Yes.
It's a pictographic, non-linear book, and so it suits my brain perfectly. And so in a way, we're shuffling it up. It's random access, right? We don't know. So it's a book, but you're not coming into it from a beginning, middle, end. You're just suddenly pulling up. This is the ace of This is emotion and love, and this one here is about
certain death.
No. Well, we all have certain death. That's a given. But this one is about walking away from opportunities. Sometimes going on a quest.
I can get that. Good. So moving on. So that's tarot. Peter works in the shop on a Thursday. You're welcome to come here. You can contact Peter directly for readings. I've seen Peter give some great teaching magic to kids courses here. I've even learnt some things myself, which I could probably use going forward. Peter, I always say to people, why not just come and talk to Peter on a Thursday? And I think hopefully throughout this interview you get to see that in a conversation with Peter it can go in any direction, and not something you walked in the door thinking you were going to talk about, which is a bit like coming to a bookshop and finding a book that you didn't know you were looking for. So I think Peter gives this shop another dimension. I'm really immensely pleased to have him here and to provide that. And on those wise words, we're going to leave it and say thank you very much, Peter.
Thanks, Gary.
And you can get more information on Peter at Tarot Philosopher on Instagram. And finally, this week's shout out to a local Lantau business goes to Treasure Island Group. Located down at Puyo Beach, they cater for camping, corporate events, beach club and restaurant. Founded by Adrienne Ung back in 1996. We hope to talk more with Adrienne in a future podcast. But for now, you can find out more at treasureislandhk.com. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for listening to the 12th Vibe Book and Music Shop podcast called VIBErations. I'm Gary Brightman. You get my vibe?
Can you imagine what this old island must have looked like to those Dutch sailors when they first saw it? Fresh green. Like a dream of a new world.
They must have held their breath. Afraid it would disappear before they could touch it.